Right, what have we got today? Boosh, it is the Nitecore TUP. Now, unfortunately, it looks like this one's been packaged by someone who's been drinking strong liquor, put it that way. But it's arrived anyway. So I'm looking forward to having a look at this. This is the Nitecore TUP, which should have, even though it's supposed to be a keychain light, it should have a maximum output of 1,000 lumens. So that's pretty high. I mean, compare that to, just off the top of my head here, here's a really good, this is the EDC01 by Lumentop. I really like this. You're getting about 120 lumens and it sticks on your keychain. Now compare that 120 to almost 10 times more. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So we'll have a look. So let's take it out of the box. Let's see what you get. So boosh, drop kick that. Take that out. That looks pretty cool actually. Looks quite sort of nice. Anyway, let's see what else you get in the box. So there's no O-rings or anything like that because you shouldn't be taking this to bits because it has an internal battery which you can't change, unfortunately. So here is your split link and your keychain attacher. So what you would do is you would attach that to the bottom there and then you can attach that to your keychain. Now I'm not a big fan of these ones unless they're the really strong ones. So let's just have a, I'll take it out of the box there, take it out of the packet so I can actually see what's going on. Right, so let's have a look. I'm not a big fan of these ones, they're generally weak. This one's okay, it's moderately strong, but I find a lot of them are cheap and they fall to bits and they don't retain and just come off. So okay, that's passable, I'll let them off. And you've got a little card here saying sign your life away. We definitely won't use those details to bombard you with rubbish. Okay, throw that in the bin. And this looks like, here's your technical data. I mean, you can pause it and read that if you want, but I will go over it so you don't have to bother. And the manual is in here, which I'm not going to read. Well, I'll have a quick scan. Yeah, oh, right, believe it or not, I've memorized that, right, bin that. Right, let's have a look at the light itself. So, Nitecore TUP. I have no idea what TUP stands for. If you remember, they also do a tube, a tiny and a tip. Again, silly names. I have no idea what they stand for. There's probably some sensible reason for it. But aesthetically, it's pretty damn nice. I like this sort of silver accent which goes around the side. Pretty good. The connection point is pretty strong. It's not falling out or wobbling about. I like these little accents here. I mean, the whole thing is plastic, even though it looks like it isn't. That's plastic. And then you've got this screen here, which is quite interesting. So I'll be interested to have a look at that. And then right up top, you have a massive TIR lens here over the LED. Now, you can see down the middle there is the LED. Now, the LED that this one uses is a genuine Cree, so I'm happy to see that. It's the Cree XBL-HD. HD just stands for high discharge. And it's the V6, which will be the cool white. So there's no tint option, which is unfortunate, but you get that with a lot of the big brands like Olight and Nitecore. They decide what tints you get because they know better, just like how Apple tell you what to do. I'm not in agreement with that sort of marketing, but that's how they do it. Okay, so this is using an internal lithium-ion battery, so unfortunately you can't change it. So if you're going to buy this, bear in mind there's going to come a day when it's going to stop working because you just can't change the battery, which is unfortunate. And it's a 1200 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty impressive, you know. I mean, if you just as a comparison, here's the Lumentop here again. So if we look at the battery that I've got in here, even though this is a Anyloop Pro, if I can get it to focus, there you go, sorry about that. It's an Anyloop Pro, so a lot of them will be under this capacity, but this has 930 milliamp hours at best. So this is way above that, so nice to see, but it's going to need that extra capacity. Bear in mind it's trying to push 1,000 lumens. So let's screw that back there. So like I say, it's using a TIR lens, which is pretty interesting, and I'm going to very rapidly go over this. I'm not going to do daft drones. This is a standard TIR with a faceted lens on the outside there. So what's happening is, I'll do a very, very quick drawing. So normally you have your LED, which is just your substrate there, and then your light comes out willy-nilly. So for example, like the Nitecore TUP here. So as you can see, light just goes all over. It's not particularly steered, and it unfortunately also comes back in your face, which is rather irritating, isn't it? So one way around that is if you put over the top, so there's another LED. This is a side section view. You can put a smooth reflector like this. So what happens, and I'll quickly find an example of that. So this is similar, even though it does have a frosted front. If you imagine this as smooth, what happens is it's designed to give you a little bit of throw. So what happens is when the light comes out, you get your spill here, and then you also try and steer the light so you get a spot there. And as a massive example of that would be the FT03. So look at the size of that. That's designed to throw as far as possible. Now it's great. There's your spill and your spot, but you see how the spot totally obscures everything. It's useless up close, and the only way around that is to pull the light back, keep pulling it back, keep pulling it back, or just reduce the output. So reduce, reduce, reduce. But it's still irritating because you've still got this dot. So you're probably thinking, well, how do you get around that? Well, one example is you can put over the top a non-smooth structure. It's bumps and aberrations. So for example, here is the Astrolux. This is an old one, the A01. Now, as you can see, the reflector there, which surrounds the LED, is bumped. So what does that do? What effect does that have? Well, as you can see, what happens is you've still got your spot and this is your spill, but there's a transition between the two. So it's better for medium range. So when it hits the wall, it's more like this. You know, there's a transition between the two zones. It's less like a fried egg. So that's better, but the problem is you lack distance. You're no longer able to throw, but it's better for close-up. And I would argue that lower output lights aren't meant for massive throw anyway. So the lower it is and the smaller it is, you want up close stuff. So TIR is probably a best example of what you should be going for. So here's a TIR. Now if I turn this on, I'll put it on full. There's full. Even on full, there's very little hotspot. The whole thing is a transition, which, look, it's not obscuring anything. It's absolutely fantastic. So what's happening there is you've got your LED, then you plonk over the top. This is a side section view. So this is solid. This isn't cavernous. So what happens is the light enters this and then it reflects, bounces around the inside, and then leaves how you determine based on this structure of this external surface here. So TIR, total internal reflection, and then it comes out how, so you get this beautiful transition. Now they've gone for that here. Now if you can see in the very middle of this TIR, it's pretty clear. So you're going to get something of a spot in the middle, which is fine, but it's going to spread out at medium distance anyway. But the idea of this is it's large and it's going to spread it out, which is good. So it's going to give you what's called a floody beam rather than a spot, which is, you know, tiny and designed to go a long distance. It's going to spread out, which is what you want for this sort of light, I would argue anyway. So let's get that out of the way. So you can get this, I've got this in grey, but you can get it in black. Unfortunately, there's only two colours there. So if you want it to be snazzy, tough look. And it is a USB rechargeable. So as you can see here, now I'm not a big fan of these daft flaps because by having these daft flaps, you lose waterproofing. But okay, it's a necessity. So if I can actually get in here, so I think you've got to be Dracula and have pointy nails to get in here, or, you know, a female impersonator or something. But okay, we're in, right. So here we go. You've got micro USB. So that's, I'm a little bit annoyed to see that this is a newer light. It's certainly not, you know, just come out this week, but it's a newer light. I would have rather have seen Type C. Now there's a Type C. So in and out on this power bank is a Type C. Both of my last phones are Type C. The laptop's Type C. The desktop's Type C. I've got two other chargers which are Type C. I've got two torches here that are Type C. In fact, this one here, I mean, this is getting on a bit now, the FT03, look, USB rechargeable, Type C. All new flashlights should be Type C now. And I know some people complain when I say that, but I'm sorry, but they should. It's just lazy and cheap, and I don't care about, oh, it might make it 1/4 millimeter bigger. I don't care. I don't want to have to carry yet another cable. Just use Type C for everything. But okay, let's see. So if you notice, they didn't even give me a cable, which is a bit of a rip-off. So no cable in the box, so marks down for that, Nitecore. That's a bit mean. So I do have an old Type C here. Now I don't know who made this one. This is just a random one. So we'll try that. So let's undo this. So thanks very much, Nitecore. Even though you charge a premium for your lights, you won't even give me a cable, so that's a bit naughty. So let's take that out. Okay, so to charge it, you put it in here. That's it. And then we shall plug the A section into the power bank the right way up, and then we'll see what happens. Right, so as you can see, it's charging and the screen's on. So if I can get it to focus, there you go. So you see the two buttons are flashing, and then I really like that. You've got a battery representation there, so it shows you that it's charging. And then the figure next to that, which says 4.05 volts. So as most people will know who are flashaholics, 4.20 will be full, 4.2 will be full, and it will go down from there. So nice to see. I really like that. I think a lot of flashlights now should come with these, so it gives you a visual representation of what's going on. I will explain what level 4 and demo and all the rest of it is, but well, let's just let that charge at this moment in time. It looks okay, it's doing the job, it'll flash, and then when it's finished charging, it'll stop flashing. So nice to see. I just want to quickly discuss the clip, because I like a deep carry clip, as you know. Move that out of the way. So as you can see, this clip, instead of just starting here and going down, it goes right up to the top. So when this is in your pocket, if you imagine this is your pocket, there's very little protruding from the top there. So I like that. I like a deep carry clip, so nice to see. And the clip is actually decent. I like that. It's nice and thin but strong. So well done, Nitecore, on a decent clip. And I like having little holes in for extra attachment options. So nice to see that. So well done on that. Apparently this works whilst it's charging, which I should have shown you. So I do apologise for that. So I will plug it back in just to prove that. A lot of lights don't. A lot of headlights have this feature, which is great because it means you can plug it in with a long cable to your pocket and still have it running whilst it's charging. So if we plug that in. Okay, so as you can see, it's flashing, it's charging. Now, whilst it's charging, you can turn it on and off. Brilliant feature. I really, really like that, especially if you're camping or you're using it on a hat or something like that. I find that an excellent, excellent, excellent sort of feature. Before I show you this, I'll show you the locking functions. So this has E-lockout. So normally, if you knock these buttons, whoop, it goes on. You don't necessarily want that happening in your pocket. And look, there's not a lot of travel, and those buttons aren't recessed, so they're very easy to knock like that. Look, knock, and it's on. So very easy to knock. So with that in mind, you can lock it. So to lock it, you press and hold. There. Now you've got. Now I'll do that. Show you again. Right. Lock number 1. Now there's 2 locking modes. Now lock number 1 means you can't use power. It won't do anything. However, you do have your turbo open to you. So there's turbo. The only problem with that is I have an issue. What's the point of that lock? Because that button's still susceptible to be pressed. So strange. So to turn it off, you click and hold, and then you see the little key going down. Right, now you can turn it on and off, no problem. There's a secondary lock. So if we lock it again, you got lock 1. Now it goes to lock 2. Lock 2 means both buttons are inoperable. So neither of them will work. You just get this coming up saying lock number 2. And to turn it off is exactly the same. Press and hold, and there, you're back to normal. Now there are 2 running modes. So when this is running, so I'll turn it on, right. Now ignore all the figures other than the one at the bottom left here. You see this 27, 26, 25, 24. You have a demo mode and a daily mode. So demo mode, which is what I'm on, you can see it says demo at the top there. Demo means any function will only last 30 seconds until you press the button again. So to prove that, I shall show you. So we're at 10 at the moment. So if you wait about 8 seconds from now, you'll notice that the light turns off. So we'll just watch. So if you wait a few seconds, yeah, it turns off. So that's demo mode. You also have daily mode. So how do you go between them? Well, to go between them, you just hold both buttons. There, flashes. Now see it went from demo to daily. Now, when you turn the light on, there's no little number there, and it will keep going and keep going and keep going, which is nice to see. So let's quickly discuss what's on the display here. So you have LV4. Now these are your different levels. So you've got ultra low, low, medium. They call it mid for whatever reason, high, and turbo. So I'll quickly show you them. So let's turn it off. So if we go on, there, 1 lumen. There, hang on, there, 1 lumen. Okay, so they're saying, you should get, according to them, you'll get about 70 hours on a full battery. On this one, it's saying, look, you've got 58.26 left. Okay, that's an estimation, but their best possible case scenario would suggest 70 hours on 1 lumen. That's ultra low. Your next mode, so instead of pressing power, just press the mode, is low. So that takes you to 15 lumens. So it's saying here I'm going to get 16 hours because the battery is low, but they're quoting on a full battery you should get about 19. And then the next mode is medium, so 65 lumens. Here's the quote. This is the estimated time remaining here for me, but they're suggesting you get 9 hours 45 minutes. The next one is high, so 200. So that's the highest you can get without turbo. So there's the estimated time remaining there, which clicks down as it goes on. Now they're saying best case scenario 3 hours, and then turbo is a momentary only, so you can't get it through the modes. So you have to click and hold. So you click and hold and watch. Bang! That's maximum. So if I do it again, you'll see it'll say 1,000 lumens there. Turbo 1,000 lumens. Now as you can see there, it's saying I've got 19 minutes left at that. But obviously I can't imagine holding that for 19 minutes. I'd end up with, white finger like the miners used to get. So we'll turn that off. So very interesting, and it does have a thermal step down, so it will reach a certain threshold where it will step down the output. But most lights of the 1000 lumen range would have that anyway, and especially for this size. So I'm pretty impressed so far. I do think the size is a little bit different to what I was expecting, especially width and depth, but okay, so we'll turn that off just temporarily. I just want to discuss a few other little things. Such as this, they're saying anyway, this is a constant current circuit. Sorry, not circuit, it's a constant current circuit. Now what they're trying to say is there's a constant voltage to the LED rather than an intermittent voltage which creates pulse width modulation. Pulse width modulation is just when you give voltage to the LED, turn it off, on, off, on, off. You do it fast enough where you can get a desired output level, but it hopefully isn't apparent to the human eye. The problem is a lot of manufacturers are. For example, here is the Rovivon A8, which is a nice light, but it suffers badly from pulse width modulation. In other words, visible pulse width modulation. And in fact, I'll put a little bit of footage in up here showing you where I compared the A8 and a very cheap A01 by Astrolux. So what I did was I filmed them at 1,000 frames, or around 1,000 frames per second, which means you can slow the footage down and see these artifacts. And as you can see, the pulse width modulation on this was horrific. Generally, most people won't see that, but I do, and it's a nuisance, and it's not nice on the eyes. So this aims to avoid that by not using that sort of feature. So nice to see. One thing I'm not very happy about in the stats on this is it's only a IPX, I think it's 5.4. So the first figure just stands for, can dust get in or out? What's the ingress protection for dust? Okay, 5, fair enough, I'll live with that. But 4 means it's not waterproof. So I'm a little bit annoyed at that. You've got excellent waterproofing on something like this. And then you see the problem is once you start having sections like this where water can get in, you can't have proper waterproofing. But that's really low. What it means is if you splash water at this, according to the statistics and what an IPX4 setting should be, water will get in. So this isn't waterproof, so you're going to have to keep this in your pocket. I'm a little bit disappointed by that. As you know, I'm a big fan of IPX8 if you can get it, and certainly the IPX settings are higher on something like the TUP 2, so I don't know why they couldn't be bothered to do it with this. Maybe it's redesign this or come up with something, but that's a disappointing figure, that. And the drop rating is only 1 meter on this, which is a little bit disappointing. I would have preferred 1.5 to 2, but okay. I mean, when you're paying a premium for a Nitecore product, I would prefer it to be a little bit higher, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so I want to do some quick comparisons. So let's start with the Nitecore TUP. Obviously, this is only giving you 45 lumens. It's going all over the shop, but it's very, very cheap. You're not going to get a long run time, and it's also USB chargeable. This obviously blows it out of the water. You've got the nice display here, which I do appreciate. You've got a nice large lens, which works brilliantly for a nice medium range flood. I do appreciate that. And maximum output. Excellent. So I like to see that. And this has got a clip, whereas this hasn't. And you could also compare it to the Nitecore TUP. Now, this has been going for years. I think they updated it in 2017 or something like that. But the thing is, this is about as big as I want to get for what I would call a keychain light. I would accept a little bit bigger for a little few more features like the TUP 2, but any bigger than this and it becomes a little bit irritating and it's no longer a keychain light. And this is the problem with this. If you look, depth-wise, you know, even if I take, even leaving the clip on, depth wise, it's almost double what the tip is. This, it's a strange situation that this finds itself in. I like the screen. It's a massive output, fantastic, well done Nitecore, love the clip, but it's just a little bit too big for me to call a keychain light. It's just too big. Now I know there's probably going to be people in the comments saying, ah, shut your face, what a load of rubbish. And that's fine, that's your opinion, but I just think that's quite big. I mean, bear in mind, I'm 6'4", so I've got quite large hands. That's actually quite big to be in your pocket and be classed as, you know, keychain. That's getting a little bit too big anyway. I just think that's getting too big, and it's quite heavy as well, especially in comparison to something like this. It's, you know, double. But I like it. If you've got, put it this way, if you're a clown and you've got huge pockets, or you're a wizard, it's not a problem. But some people might find this too big. It feels more like an EDC light than a keychain light, which is a shame, because I think the concept is fantastic and I really like it. If they could maybe shave this down and just dramatically reduce it somehow. I don't know how they do that, because obviously you've got to have space for the battery. If you could somehow reduce this down, this would be a killer keychain light, and I would love it and I would carry it every day, but it just feels a little bit too big for me. But I don't want to belabor that point too much. Anyway, so in comparison to the old tip, I mean, maximum I think the lumen on this is 360, but look, you're not going to get a lot of flood from that. It does do a decent job actually. You know, when I test this against walls with other lights, it does make a nice flood, but quite small diameter, whereas this is massively better. 360 lumens on this. This will go way up to 1,000, much better. So it blows this out the water. So that's just one of your other options. You could also compare it to the Nitecore Tiny, which has more lumens. It has more lumens than the tip. This has 380, and it has a beautiful TIR lens on there, which really works. I do like this. I like this light. It's smaller and lighter than this as well. I think this is beautiful, and again, USB chargeable. It's got one of these daft flaps, which I don't like, but I'll live with it, and it's a little bit more waterproof than this. I do like this light. I mean, look, that's pretty good for a tiny little light, and that is a keychain light. Look, it's tiny. I've got no problems with that, but look at the size difference. I mean, look, that's getting on for, you know, nearly, okay, 3 times bigger. Do you see what I mean? When you compare it to other keychain lights, this is pushing it a bit, unless you're Andre the Giant or something like that. 380 lumens on this, but it's got a smaller battery than the tip due to its size. But I do think that's an excellent keychain light. Highly recommended that. But again, this is going to blow it out the water. If you don't care about size, this is going to blow it out the water. You could also compare it to the new TIP 2, so it's version 2 of this. I really like this light. Had some nice features. Now, it's a dual emitter, both TIR. Now, because it's a dual emitter, you're getting about 720 lumens, which is fantastic. So it's very close to this. But again, look, it's starting to push the boundaries of what a keychain light is. This is still bigger. So if you pull this, look, that stays attached to the keychain, whereas this can be pulled off and used. So you can use your light, blah, 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 and then that goes bang, straight back on the keychain. Beautiful. I really like and appreciate that feature. And those magnets are strong. It's not coming off. I really like that. Okay, so those are your options from Nitecore anyway. So if you don't care about size, that blows them all out the water for output. And I love the little screen, which gives you an indication of what's going on in the different modes. Other than that, you could compare it to, if you don't care about pulse width modulation issues, you've got the A8 by Rovivon, which is a lovely light with extra lights, but it's got that visual image on the eyes, which can be irritating. So that's one there. You've got the cheap but effective Astrolux A01, which is pretty cool. Problem is, that's only going to give you about 350 lumens, so nowhere near that. But look at the size difference, tiny. This is a little bit more chunky, but it's still, you know, I mean, you could argue, well, look, size difference, there's not that much size difference. If you're willing to carry that, why not carry that? But it's just thicker and bulkier, and this is on the heavy side anyway. You're only getting about 100 lumens off that, but it's quite nice. So pop that there. Other options, if you want to go really small, you could go for the Claris Mini one. That'll give you about 120 lumens with a nice TIR lens. But again, you're lucky to get 20 minutes of runtime from that, which is a shame, but it's very, very, very small. Another option would be the Lumentop EDC01. Beautiful light, nice TIR lens, excellent output. I love the grip as well, and it's never let me down. I really let it, but you're only getting about 120 lumens, but you're saving on space. And you could go for the Jet Beam. I think this is called I can never remember the name of this. This is the Jet U, which is very similar to the EDC one, just a slightly different TIR setup. You're going to get a little bit more push out rather than a standard TIR. It gives you a little bit more push out in distance, but decent. I like the coating on that, but again, similar output. It's up to you what you want to choose. And one other option, if you want to try an aspherical lens, which is like this, where it looks like half a globe over the top, you can get quite a nice flood from these. There you go. So look at that. So it doesn't use the TIR method to give you a nice expansion of the light without artifacts, but it certainly works, doesn't it? But obviously, as you come back, it becomes weaker and weaker, and this is no good at the extremities of medium range to long range, but it'll give you about 500-ish lumens on turbo, so pretty nice light and very small. But again, that's slightly bigger, but you're getting more features and a screen. So let's get that out of the way. Right, I'm going to give this a mark. Right, what do I like and what do I don't like? So pros are the display. I really like the display. I like the large TIR. The output's fantastic. I mean, 1000 lumens, fantastic. And I love the fact that it's giving you battery percentage here, and while you're running it, it's giving you a little timer. So there's the timer, so you can look at that and say, right, I know how much I've got left. That's a really, really, really good feature. I love the clip as well. I mean, the size, for a lot of people, that's going to be too big for a keychain light, but I would maybe push myself and put up with it if I didn't have too many other keys. Price, I think it's about 10-15 bucks more than it needs to be, especially bearing in mind it's only an IPX4. It's not waterproof. I wish they would up that and change this to a Type C. So I'm going to give this 7.5. The reason I'm going to give it 7.5 is because they need to up the waterproofing. I know people could argue, well, do you ever throw your car keys in a a lake? No, I don't, but I'd like the assurance that if I go and get drenched, then this is definitely going to work. I would prefer that. It means I could have more reliance on it, put it that way. And they should drop the price a little bit. If they did that, I would be giving it an 8+, 8.5 maybe, but it just feels too bulky for a keychain light. But that's just a descriptor, really. As an EDC light, it's excellent because it's small, powerful, excellent screen. So if you don't consider this a keychain light, I'll probably give it higher, but because they're classing it as that and selling it as that, you may be better off getting something a bit smaller with the magnet feature like the TUP 2. I really like that feature, but obviously you're not getting a screen, but I still think that's a beautiful light. So it's up to you. It depends what you're after. So I'll go outside, and what I want to do is I'll say, look, it depends what you're after. If you want an EDC, it's fantastic. If you want a keychain, it might be too big. So I'll give it 7.5. Enough of me waffling. Let's get outside and see what it looks like.